President Uhuru was president of this country, we had finance bills every year. But it's only one that had very serious contention, and the only contention that was there was the increase of VAT. In fact, the introduction of VAT on fuel of 8%. Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza regime has been in office. This is less than 2 years. And the second finance bill they have brought to this house and the first one have elicited so much contention from Kenyans that I think there's something seriously wrong. Mr. Speaker, in fact,
President William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, who was elected in 2022, has been put on notice that it has just been 2 years and both finance bills in these 2 years have become into heavy contention, and this generation is so powerful and this generation won't keep quiet under oppressive mean. And he was even warned on what happened in Bangladesh and what has happened in Syria of late. And the president has even been told that if he doesn't really look keenly at this generation, he is going to go down in history and the people will reject him. We have seen how the finance bill of 2024 was contested and it led even the parliament of Kenya being attacked.
Guys have made it into parliament. They have made it inside the parliament. They have made it inside the parliament.
to go to SHIF, which is even higher. Mr. Speaker, we introduced a housing fund. Mr. Speaker, it has been very painful for Kenyans. And Kenyans were hoping that this year things will be better, considering that in the last election campaign, Mr. Speaker, they were told that there will be pesa mfukoni, which means money in the pockets. Mr. Speaker, what we are realizing is that actually what this regime wanted was not to put money in anyone's pocket, but to take any money that was in the pockets of Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, the cost of government services have gone so high that we can't even afford our children to have ID cards. So, Mr. Speaker, when I look at a bill that proposes to increase the already overburdened Kenyans, it is something that we have to stand firm and reject. Mr. Speaker, let me say this, that we were told to tighten our belts. And I know this is the intention, that we be hit very hard the first 2, 3, 4 years. But, Mr. Speaker, you know, some people will lose their life because of the hunger now and because of the stress now. What do you do with them when they are 6 feet under in 2026, 2027? We are told to tighten our belts. And as we tighten our belts, Mr. Speaker, it is shocking to see the excesses that this government is going through. We are taxing Kenyans to raise money to run the government, and yet we have excesses. We are putting in money to build houses, to repair, to paint houses that were built with 400 million, and we are spending 600 million to renovate and paint. Mr. Speaker, it is very painful. And then we are told, tighten your belts as Kenyans. And 200 million Kenyan shillings is used on a return trip on a chartered plane to the US. Mr. Speaker, this is not acceptable. And all those missions are begging missions. When what we are doing here is we are living beyond our means. Mr. Speaker, I seek the attention of all those members that passed the 2023 finance.
Kenyans were hoping things will be better. Kenyans were hoping that this world was going to change. But of the moment, what we are seeing is life which have become harder. In the first 2 years of the government, we even saw the National Cereal Board of Kenya distributing fake fertilizers. And when the CS was taken to parliament, many of the MPs still voted to save him, that he should not be impeached, and it was no mistake. And that begs the question, who is really going to take care of Kenyans? Are we Kenyans safe? That was some of the questions which were being posted in the National Assembly. Now looking almost 6 months down the line, after Kenyans bought fake fertilizers, the Kenyan regime came out to say that God has really blessed the land of Kenya with abundance of rain, and that's why there was plentiful of production.
Job losses. Many companies left this country and are now producing elsewhere, and unemployment has gone up. We warned that the tax increase is always passed to the common man. Mr. Speaker, the hustler of this country, the mamamboga, the boda, is the one that will carry the burden. Anytime taxes go up, it is not the big fish that actually pay these taxes, because all they do, when you increase cost of fuel. All they do is pass it on to the consumer. And the consumer is Mama Mboga. The consumer is the last man in the chain. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to be very careful. Now, the 2024 tax proposals are as oppressive as 2023. We have not even fully implemented the 2023 ones. The E-teams, now we are discussing how we are going to remove it. There are those, those taxes on chamas that we have not yet implemented. Now we have brought other major proposals. And I hear, Mr. Speaker, talk of the tax proposals of 2023, it's like they have been reduced. Mr. Speaker, the bill that we hold in our hands, the bill that we read, has not been amended. What we are listening to is stories, Mr. Speaker. Because when we go to the committee of the whole House, what guarantee do we have that the proposals we've been told about here will pass? We can be hoodwinked into believing that those things will be passed, and when we pass this bill, the last minute it is opposed and we lose out. So we are going to oppose it from the beginning up to the end. Mr. Speaker, this proposal on VAT on bread, Mr. Speaker, I don't even know who could conceive such a thing. You have put your hands in the pockets of salaried Kenyans, business people. People have been made to pay for profits that they don't even make on turnover tax. And now you want to tax our children because you're putting your hands in the pockets of our children. Because the biggest consumer of bread are our children in secondary school, because that's where they spend their pocket money. Mr. Speaker, some of these are totally ill-advised. Mr. Speaker, VAT on financial services, VAT on money transfer, VAT on M-Pesa, those were, I do not understand who was thinking, what were they drinking, what were they smoking when they came up with those ideas. Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate. 20%, 25% excise duty on edible oil, import duty. Mr. Speaker, these things, 2.5% on motor vehicles. These ideas were preposterous. But Mr. Speaker, I believe that all those proposals were actually a smokescreen. If you read the 48 laws of power, you know, smokescreen. You lead them down the wrong direction until they lose focus. What has happened is that we have concentrated on those ones that were very clear. But the real intention was to do what this committee has proposed. That suddenly, after we think that things are okay, they increase RMD, road maintenance levy, road development levy, and the import duty. That is what the intention was. In fact, the net effect is likely to be that this finance bill may be collecting almost as much, if not more, than the previous proposal. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand in solidarity with those Kenyans that said that this must be rejected in totality. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Inspector General to stop interfering with Kenyans when they are exercising their democratic right of picketing, because Kenyans have a right to defend themselves. When they see the Constitution being mutilated, when they see their pockets being ravaged, when they see their children being unable to go to school, to put food on the table, they have every right to defend themselves. Inspector General, can you concentrate on defending the country and stop interfering with Kenyans? And this revolution, which is unfortunately a kindly revolution, Mr. Speaker, it is unstoppable. Because when we were in the streets, you could call Raila Amolo Odinga, you could call Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and ask them to tell the troops to go back. Who do you call when you pass this bill? So I reject and I vote, I reject. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The MP, Mr. Mbui, also come to claim out that there are many massive job losses in the Republic of Kenya, and we have seen how there have been many companies which have left the Republic of Kenya due to the introduction of the 2024 finance bill. And some of the questions Mr. Mbui was asking is that we have seen President Kibaki, President Moi, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who during their time, there was no ever contention in terms of the finance bill. But as of the moment, the President William Ruto is being alleged that he managed to sway the legislature, which is supposed to focus on legislation. Rather, they swayed to the politics side and they forgot about the ordinary mwananchi, ordinary things they used to talk about during the campaign, ordinary promises they made which were stuck in the hearts of the people. People expected that 2024 is going to be the best year of their life, considering now the government was able to be stabilizing things. However, in 2024, we have seen multiple demonstrations from doctors, teachers, JSS teachers, the issue of no classes, and Gen Z. Now we are back to the another revolution which might be storming out is the pastors and the clergy. The church even is opposing the government. Then, what does the Kenya Kwanza government need to do? The Kenya Kwanza government needs to go back to the drawing board and look at many things. And they try to sort out the mess which is in the country, especially in terms of the cost of living. Products are going high, and it's only for the rich to be more richer.